This is what happened with Jeremiah. Jeremiah has this conversation. And then God says to him, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you and ordained you to be a prophet. So now he says to God, I'm just a child. And God said, don't ever say that again. Why? Because the words that you speak move molecules, and molecules have memory. And so it leaves, a word actually creates, it's almost like a train track. And it goes out into the world realm of the spirit. But then that same train track brings the response, the exact thing that you're saying, it brings it back to you and travels back to you as an experience. And so with a lot of people, they're trying to find who they are, and they keep turning to people to affirm and confirm, and the people that they're turning to don't know who they are.
Right.
So if you don't know who you are, you can't tell me who I am.
Right.
And so this is what Jesus said. Jesus said, look, there's some brand confusion about me in the marketplace. Who do man say that I am? Some say that you're this, and some say... He said, let me clear it up once and for all. So here is one person that has the revelation that God gives, right? You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. He's not exactly convinced, but he has a revelation. But then Jesus spends the rest of his life making a series of I statements. And if you don't make a series of I statements, you are forever going to have to live with a series of you statements. What people say about you. And so we have to understand that we should never get confidence mixed up with arrogance. Just because I announce to you that I'm strong and I'm great and I'm powerful doesn't mean that I'm arrogant. I just know who I am. And I refuse to allow someone... I refuse to allow someone's insecurity to be projected onto me. Your insecurity is not an indication of my insecurity. And we run around, back to what you were asking, we run around turning to people that have never been where we're trying to go. And this is why I love Woman Thou Art Loose. Because women have an opportunity now to be a part of moments that people who have been or are going on a track that they're trying to get onto, and they have an opportunity to listen to wisdom. A lot of people have say they lack money. And when a person lacks money, what they usually do is they run to another person who has money and tries to borrow the money. But what a person needs when they don't have money, they don't need money, they need information. And what we don't want information, because it means that truth demands a response.
Absolutely.
And it means that you're going to have to give up ignorance in order to apply, wisdom. And so the greatest enemy of an individual in life is not the devil. The greatest enemy of any believer is ignorance. We don't perish because of a lack of money. We don't perish because of drugs or alcohol. We perish because of lack of knowledge. And this is why TBN is so powerful. And your ministry is powerful because it's knowledge-based. Money doesn't rule the world, thoughts and ideas do. And this is why when God wanted to change the world and empower people, he didn't send a singer. What he sent was the word. He sent information. And in this world, the world blinds the minds of so many people. And I believe that conspiracy is not a theory. If you've been educated in secular education, they gave you language recognition, but they did not give you language comprehension. So that by the time a believer gets to church, all you have to do is throw a few words together. They can recognize the word, but there's no comprehension. If there's no comprehension, there can be no application. If there's no application, there can be no manifestation. And so what God does is he preaches to the minds of believers. He said, being transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you come to church not from emotionalism, but you come to church to learn to think. And this is the phenomenon of the prodigal son. The Bible said when he came to himself, he said to himself. And it's not about what people are saying about you that messes you up. It's what you are saying about yourself.
Absolutely. I was going to say. Oh my God. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And we don't have to wait for a prophet to prophesy.
All right.
You can prophesy over your life every single day. Every day. And this is what a confession of faith is all about. What are you saying over your life? What have you put out in the atmosphere? And this is the issue. A lot of times we want to blame people. We want to blame situations. In my life, this is how I do it. If I have someone that I invite into a relationship in my life, and that person betrays me, I don't blame the person, I blame myself. Why? Why do I blame myself? Because I gave them permission to be in a relationship. And so it means that it's not the person, because remember, people reflect who you are. And so when you change, the people change. So we try to change things in people and not change ourselves.
Absolutely.
But the moment you change, everything in heaven and earth begins to conspire to accommodate your change.
How important, because most people don't know themselves. They're not in touch with themselves. They don't investigate themselves. They're afraid to spend time with themselves. They're always inviting somebody in to avoid being alone with themselves. How important is it that you spend that time to really investigate your predestined, predetermined purpose in God?
Loneliness is not the absence of people. It's the absence of purpose. And when you find purpose, the right people come.
Yes, oh, that's
you know,
so good.
the other thing too, I think people are missing strategies. We usually bring strategies from an old season into a new season. And if you bring a strategy into a new season, you're going to bring the same drama.
Right.
And so we're not just looking for another experience, we're looking for a new strategy. And in this season, what God is doing, he's bringing people into our lives that are actual strategists. The issue is we want everything free. Nobody's willing to pay the price. It's your conversation, it's your conversation. What are you willing to pay for your freedom? You got to pay something.
Right.
And a lot of times, I think that we're waiting for God when God is waiting on us. Jesus walks into a city, John chapter 5. Here's this man. He's been molded and shaped by his culture. But 38 years he's sitting there with potential. And Jesus speaks a word and asks him, what do you want? We know what everybody else wants, but what do you want? And then when he was able to find out that Jesus was challenging him, all of a sudden, Jesus activates his potential and he walks out. 38 years, he's immobilized because he doesn't know who he is. But then one word changed his life. And that means that he always had the potential to walk, but he gave his personal power away to culture.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
Take your personal power back.
Take it back. I'm excited. Before we move on, I want you to take a minute. I know that you are writing a book or have written a book. Tell us about that book and tell us about what made you, out of all the things that you could write about, what made you write about this?
I'm writing 2 books. They're both due out in October. One is the Prayer Warriors Manual, the Prayer Warriors Way, teaching about prayer. And one of the reasons why I started writing about prayer is because nothing prohibits prayer from changing things, nothing. So prayer can go where you can never go. Prayer can go in the boardroom and negotiate for you. It can go in the courtroom. Prayer can go because prayer requires words, and words have power, presence, prophetic implication, no geographical limitation. So prayer can do for you in 1 minute what you cannot do for yourself in a lifetime.